Radio show. We are with somebody who is very special to me. I have a lot of special people that come on the show, but this guy, Mr. Ben Hall, owner of Big Ben's Desserts. As you can see, I don't know why this is in my face because y'all know I've been doing the no low carbs, and then he said, "I'll give you one of my favorite sodas, Crush." Jesus help me, Lord. I am gonna drink it though. I hope my personal trainer is not watching.
Hey,
if he is,
I don't want no blame.
He gonna say that's another 15 minutes on the bike. So, Ben, Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you.
I know you've been busy.
Yeah, very, very busy.
Thank you for taking the few minutes out of your time being on our show today.
No problem.
I just want to ask a big question because if y'all don't know Ben like I know Ben, how in the world did you come up with Big Ben's Dessert?
Oh man, it's a lot behind it. It's a very not a long story, but it just came from in life, sometimes we just stem from things that, we, like I said, we get in the routine of going to work every day and doing what we think is, fitting for our life. But, I was always in belief and still am, and that's what's brought me to this point of believing and knowing that you can do more. Growing up, I always thought of something, believe it or not, that I would do something and kind of put my name on it.
Right.
I didn't know what. I didn't know if it could be anything. I just didn't know what. But, coming from working and just, doing things and playing sports, and when I stopped playing sports, really didn't have too much of a clue of what I wanted to do.
Right.
But this idea came from just doing some soul searching, I guess you could say. Just coming up with things that, what am I good at? What could I do in life? And, all I could make was a banana pudding. And I remember one day being at work, and the guy had tried my banana pudding, and he kind of went crazy about it, and it just clicked.
Yeah.
It clicked in my mind. It was like, why don't you put that out there? Why don't you try something different? And Big Ben Desserts just came out of thin air, literally. Just came from a thought, and it's just exciting to see the growth and the manifestation of what's here today.
Gotcha. Okay, so you mentioned sports. So I have to read this. This is pretty long what I got. Okay,
no problem.
So I know you played football for Burns because we both graduated from Burns, and I know you went to Clemson and played football for Clemson. And congratulations, Clemson, on your big win.
Go Tigers.
The Gamecock finally admitted it. Woo. Okay. Now I'm gonna move on to this because I done said my sayings. Okay, you entered into the NFL and you were on the Tennessee Titans and Arizona Cardinals football teams, and then you went into NFL Europe with Amsterdam Admirals.
Amsterdam Admirals.
So you left all that talent, football talent, experience, the money, the fame, just to be a baker.
Yeah, it's real simple. Growing up in high school, football was never something that I saw myself really doing what I did with it, to be honest. I was growing up young and just, kind of hanging with the wrong crowd. Not, I ain't gonna say wrong crowd, but just, hanging with some people that, just kind of not doing what I wanted to do,
right.
And football just came as an outlet.
Yeah.
It came as something to do. It came as something to keep me busy, working with it over the summer and playing football during the season, something just to kind of keep me busy. I didn't know that I would be as good as I was, That wasn't something, my family hadn't had a great history of athletes or something, or, I didn't know my dad at the time, and so he never played sports, and so, it just wasn't something that I grew up thinking, this is what I got to do.
Right.
But getting involved with it and just meeting great friends, my homeboys and people that I still, deal with to this day, we played sports, and that just was our thing. And when I came out of high school, I didn't even know. I was the number one tight end in the United States when I came out of high school. Didn't even know it, so I never saw myself going to college, never saw myself doing the things that I did. So football, I think, well, I ain't gonna say I think, at this point in my life, I know that God was pretty much leading me to different places, man, just seeing things, seeing the world, traveling, experiencing things. But I've always been the type of person that if I do something, I give my all to it. Right. So football was something that I was doing at the time, and I just dedicated myself to it. I wasn't just some, animal in the weight room.
Right.
You know, the best guy on the team or nothing like that, but I just kind of said, okay, this is what I'm doing at the time, so let me put my time, energy, and focus here, and let's really see how far I could take it. So just by doing that, football brought me to have a good opportunity in college. I was not drafted. I was a free agent, and Tennessee Titans was my first team of choice. I actually chose to go there. And it was different for me because it just opened up my eyes to a whole new world. I had no clue.
I don't like Tennessee Titans.
Hey, I like them, because I was a part of them. But I'm a Dallas Cowboy, which I never got a chance to experience that team. But I know, right?
We'll talk afterwards.
We're America's team, and we'll be back next year. Just know that. But
well, I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I just want to get that out there.
We'll be watching the Super Bowl together. But football was an experience, and having a brief experience with the Tennessee Titans, and then a pretty good experience with the Arizona Cardinals, and they were the first team that actually sent me to Europe. You got to get allocated to Europe, and so went to Europe, and Europe was some of the funnest football I ever played. It was the experience. We had to have European players on our team, where. We had like 2 Chinese kickers. A guy that was on D-line that was from Russia. We had a defensive tackle that was from Africa, the Congo, African Prince.
Nice.
A linebacker that was from Sweden. So it was very diverse, very well rounded. So you learned so much just interacting in Europe and being a part of that team.
So did Europe change your life in some way?
Yeah, it did. It just opened my eyes to so much. There's a lot of architect over there that I admired, a lot of just business opportunities. They do things different than we do. A lot of the laws, a lot of the way of living. Riding bikes was like the main form of transportation. So to see people riding bikes instead of driving cars and taking the subway and the trains and having to remember to have your passport and learning how to get around and maneuver around the cities. It opened me up to being, I guess, because fear can be one of our biggest things that holds us down. So being in Europe kind of broke a lot of my fear barriers of, learning to speak different languages. I mean, it's one thing to know a different language, but it's another thing to not know it and be surrounded by people that only speak that language, and you have to adapt for a change. So that type of diversity, being in those type of situations, really gave me an overall experience and made me into the man I am now as I continue to grow. But I think football was just an experience. Like, that's the way I look at it in my mind. I didn't look at it as like, oh, I gotta try to make this kind of money or I gotta try to have this kind of career. It was more like, let me see where it takes me. And it just got to a point where it was very unstable for me as far as like getting with a team with a long-term contract. So when I came back from Europe the second time, I pretty much just made a decision that I was ready to see what else life had to offer. And no matter what that was gonna be, even being here today with Big Ben's Desserts, I didn't know this was going to happen, but I wasn't afraid to just leave one situation and say, what else does the world has to offer? And I always believed in me. I was never afraid of hard work. So when you're not afraid of hard work and you kind of have strong faith and you're rooted in faith, I think, anything is possible. Like you can just kind of take off and say, I want to build a spaceship. We've done it, but somebody had to have that idea and then bring it into fruition. So that's the main thing that helped me just kind of move on from football, which was an amazing experience.
When you think about all of your experiences, football from high school up to a national football team, and then coming back home, at any time, do you think you were ever nervous taking a leap in faith to create your empire?
My business here?
Yes.
Yeah, it was definitely a big leap of faith. I think it all came down to reprogramming my mind, actually. I speak to people a lot about, retraining your thoughts and kind of just shooting big. I think we sometimes just shoot ourselves in the foot by not thinking that we can accomplish things that are bigger than us, or we look at our goals and we kind of size them up and say, okay, what do I think is possible? What do I think is not possible? When it actually, reality, anything is possible. You just have to kind of believe it. So it was definitely a leap of faith. I mean, it's still scary sometimes because being a business owner or being an entrepreneur, you don't know what tomorrow brings sometimes.
Right,
You can
that's
only do
true.
what you can
Yeah,
do
this
and
is
control
true.
what you can control.
Right,
but the
right.
main thing is never giving up and always believing that whatever you're after is possible. You know, faith is seeing something that hasn't came to fruition yet, but you know that if you just keep making
Right.
steps and keep making steps, you'll eventually get there. So I think it was definitely a fearful thing to step out there, but like I said, when your faith, you have to let your faith overshadow the fear, and then the fear is going to continue to kind of be there, but you got to kind of just talk yourself out of it every day,
Right.
like go away, go away,
Right.
go away, you know. And I think that's one of the biggest things of being an entrepreneur and owning your own business is just seeing something that's not there, having faith. And also, I think the biggest thing to being successful with business is having your reason for doing it bigger than yourself.
Yes, okay.
You know, why I always tell people it's bigger than the cake. You know, if you like the cake, then I love it too, because it's like the reason behind why I do this is way bigger than just the cake.